Hello and welcome to episode 18 of my retrospective look at TT Games LEGO Games of the Past. Now hopefully you've had a chance to watch other episodes in the series, but if this is your first time then head over to our YouTube channel or lifeandbrick.com for the full series. Also don't forget to subscribe and share your favourite parts of the game in the comments section if you've played this game before. Now, despite the fact that there is a brand new LEGO game sitting on my Xbox waiting to be played, the LEGO Movie 2 video game that is, I've actually spent this week diving into an epic adventure from days gone by, fighting Nazis on the hunt for the Ark of the Covenant and on the trail of the Holy Grail. Get your fedora on, whips at the ready, because we're going on an adventure with the greatest archaeologist from the big screen. It's Indiana Jones. Now, if you've been watching the series from the very beginning, you'll remember that very early on I reviewed the LEGO Indiana Jones game, the sequel actually, which focuses on the Crystal Skull. Now it's possibly the worst movie that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg have ever had their names attached to, and yes, I have seen Lucas's Howard the Duck movie. Sadly, the game didn't do too much better than the movie in my view, removing a good portion of all the established mechanics, adding in terrible new ones, and never really feeling like a completed game. It's pretty much the only LEGO game I've actually found a reason to pan so far in this series. Now, 15-16 episodes on, I've finally got my hands on the original game. Thanks, Xbox Game Pass. And it's time for a much happier LEGO Indiana Jones experience as we delve into the original trilogy. Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade are three of my favourite movies of all time. They're post-Star Wars Harrison Ford at his absolute peak, and with the aforementioned Spielberg and Lucas involved, what's not to like? Though the Big Bang Theory did try and ruin The Lost Ark by pointing out that had Indy not been involved, the movie would have ended in exactly the same way. Thanks Sheldon and co. Anyway, plot holes aside, the original trilogy took us on an adventure around the world on treasure hunts with a hint of supernatural thrown in as Indy brought myths and legends to life while being chased and shot at by Nazis and crazy shamans whose list of hobbies include hanging out in fire pits, eating monkey brains, and ripping the hearts out of men's chests. Epic old school adventure. So with that calibre of source material, how well does the LEGO adventure replicate the awesomeness? Really well actually. I'd say in terms of movie to LEGO game transitions, this is definitely on par with the original LEGO Star Wars games that came out around the same sort of time. Now, coming out a year after LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, it's clear that the LEGO game templates were already established. 6 levels per movie, stud targets, mini-kits, characters unlocked either through game progression or purchasing, it's all here and more. Now, let's start with the story. As I've just mentioned, each of the 3 movies is split into 6 levels, taking key themes from the movie and turning them into full-length levels, bookended by cutscenes to fill the gaps. That's 18 levels of indie awesomeness to enjoy, and so far everything is pretty much Star Wars standard. Now, while for the most part the narrative works really well, there are some parts of the game that miss out good chunks of the movie story, partially to ensure that the 6th level maximum is all we're going to get, and partly to remove any references to a certain German movement from World War II, which aren't very family friendly. Now, as a fanboy of the trilogy, I'm going to pinpoint kind of these parts of the game which bypass the greatness. LEGO Star Wars also suffer from this in the same way in certain places, but in reality the game showcases more than enough to give you the full story as to what's going on. The levels themselves are amazing, especially for an 11-year-old game. They're huge. I mean, huge to the point that on more than one occasion I actually got lost while exploring. The expansive levels really delve deep into whatever scene the level is trying to represent, with one of the big highlights being Indy and Dad trying to escape the German castle in The Last Crusade. Now, thanks to the source material, the environments in each level vary so brilliantly, and at no point do you feel like you're playing the same level over and over. It's something that Star Wars suffered with a little bit given the occasional similar environment over the 6 movies. Added to this, they're full of bad guys. I mean, packed to the brim, wave after wave. It can get a little bit frustrating at times, as LEGO games shouldn't really be as taxing as this one can be in places. But it's fun throughout, and to be honest, the bad guys aren't that smart, especially those carrying a bazooka. Now, where the game really shines, and where it should do given the source material, is in the puzzles. Now, thanks to the decision to finally introduce the ability to switch characters without having to be physically next to them, oh my god, that is seriously painful in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, puzzles became much more of a two-character job, and as a result we see these first kind of introduction of multi-character, multi-ability puzzles to solve. Now, outside of the levels and the open world is very much what you'd expect from a LEGO game of this era. It's small. It's small compared to today's offerings anyway. It's basically the college in which Indy works, and when he's not globetrotting around the red dotted line on the map. There isn't that much to do in terms of puzzles, but there is a shop, mini-kit displays, code entry, character customization areas, and they're all given their own kind of like classrooms, so you are encouraged to kind of explore the full hub. Gaming mechanics wise, and LEGO Indiana Jones took all the best bits from Star Wars and added some great stuff to the template, like the aforementioned character switch. We also get a decent array of abilities across the main characters, mostly the standards: guns, screams to shatter glass, small character hatches, etc. But there's also wit thrown in for good measure. It is Indiana Jones after all. The characters also have the ability to pick up weapons, either found or dropped by an enemy, such as swords or guns. This is actually a really good feature, and I wish it had become the standard, as it definitely adds an extra level to the combat sections of the game. Additionally, similar to Star Wars, they can actually wear hats as well to sneak into enemy areas. It's a nice touch, except they don't have the machines this time. It's just when the bad guys drop a hat, you can put it on and then get into past the checkpoint basically. Now, one of the more interesting additions are the combination puzzles. They're similar to those used in LEGO Harry Potter, which Hermione usually uses. Here, any character can use them as long as they found a book first to decipher the puzzles. That's either by digging it up or from smashing something to find it inside. Some characters, however, like Indy's dad, always carry a book, so it's quite handy. In general though, there aren't too many surprises to be found in terms of how the game plays. Graphically, this game has aged exceptionally well, I must say. The cutscenes are great quality, and as I mentioned earlier, the level environments are staggeringly impressive for 2008. On the audio note, and given its age, it's not surprising to note that the characters are mute. You won't hear Harrison Ford belting out those quotable lines. This is way before TT Games started to integrate voiceover talent. In this case, it probably works in the game's favour. Now, games like Jurassic World and LEGO Dimensions Ghostbusters Level Pack both use audio from the movies, and they're over 20 years old. And where the movie has been taken directly from said movie soundtrack, the quality isn't always up to standard. Given the age of the Indiana Jones trilogy, a similar fate could have hit them as well, so it's probably a good idea that voice snippets weren't used. Luckily, just like Star Wars again, John Williams' talented score more than covers us for audio in the best possible way. There's nothing quite like blowing up a bad guy with a bazooka when you've got the Indy theme blaring out, that's for sure. Now, overall, I found this game extremely fun to jump back into after such a long time. The last time I played this game was when it came out, so that's what, 11 years ago. Having played a lot of LEGO Star Wars over the last couple of months, LEGO Indiana Jones felt like a definitive upgrade in terms of gameplay, and it felt much more like a modern experience in LEGO games. The game's story does a brilliant job of recreating some of the best bits from the trilogy, even if it does take a few liberties to make sure it's a much more family-friendly affair. The levels are huge and the environments are so unique for the occasion that it's a joy of a game to play. I highly recommend this game if you've never played it. As I said, it's on Xbox Game Pass now, so go and sign up for it if you've got an Xbox One, because it's worth it. LEGO Star Wars Complete Saga's on there as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my structured and passionate rant about this game. Please do leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts on the movies. I love the movies. And if you haven't played it, let me know why, or how you're doing, or what your thoughts are on the sequel as well, because I've already said I'm not a fan. Also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please do subscribe if you haven't already. Next in the series, coming in 2 weeks time, will be LEGO Worlds. Now that's a unique LEGO experience for TT Games, as it's kind of LEGO's answer to Minecraft essentially. For now though, as I said, comment, share, subscribe, thumbs up. I'll be back very, very soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.